All right, let's try this again. Madwa, Paniwa Yerusalem, stand to face Jerusalem. Blessing of the new moon. Barak Yahweh Basham Yahweh Yasharei Nathan Manawe Hakadosh Bashalawam the Water Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the new moon, also the memorial blowing of trumpets in peace. Thank you, so be it. The Aliyah Sharai Machad, Psalms 121. Samach. Anya Harayam Mayimya Oh Harim Mayan Yabawa Zurye Yabawa Mayahu Shashad Shemayim Waratazar La Yanathan Lamawat Ragalia Yela Yanawam Shashumarka Hanay La Yanawam Wala Yeshan Shashumar Yeshvele Yahweh Shamaria Yahweh Tazalia Ya Yim Yawamam Hashamash La Hakaya Wayarak La Balayala Yahweh Yashamaria Makal Rai Yashamar Napashya Yahweh Yashamar Hawalakya Wabawaya My faith Wa Aid I Walam Basham Yahweh Shai Aman.
Psalm 121. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Hashem Yahushua the water Aman.
Amen. Shema Yasharella, Hero Israel. Shema Yashrele Yahweh Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Shema Yashrele Yahweh Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Shema Yashrele Yahweh Eloheinu Yahweh Echad.
Deuteronomy 6:4, hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord. Amen.
Amen. Apalaya Howard, the Lord's Prayer. Abinawa Shabbat Shemayim Kodash Hayye Shamke Yahuwah Malakwaka Saba'a Ratazawanke Hayye Aisha Baratiza Kaba Shemayim Natalanawa Lacham Yawam Zah wasalaknawa kabawatnawa kasalaknawa kabawat yinawa wala abiyarnawa oh nasayawan abo hawashinawa marai kayed laka hamalakwa wa ala wa thaparat wa walam aman.
After this manner, therefore, pray, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. Tazawaf, the Ten Commandments. La'ab, Yahayab, Lakab, Alahayim, Acharim, Alpanyat, La'ab, Thaishab, Lakab, Pasov, Wala'ab, Thaibadam, La'ab, Thalakwaka, Shamweb, Yahweh, Alahayakab, Lashawat, Zakab, Ath, Hayawam, Hashabath, Laquadashwa, Kabad, Abiyakab, Wa Amakab, La'ad, Tharatazak, La'ad, Thana'at, La'ad, Thaganab, La'ad, Thainad, Shakur, La'ad, Thachamab, Ko, Asherab, Lara'ikab, Amen.
3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be longer from the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. By Hashem Yahweh Shah, the water Amen.
Amen. Yeshabah, be seated. Barakateh Hawa, by Shimi Hawashai, Asheranathan Anal, Parya Gapan, Thuada Aman. La Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai of Yasher Allah. Am I upon Jerusalem, stand to face Jerusalem? Barakatha Yahweh, Haggadah, Rakawam, Abiyah, Wanawa, Aliyawan, Malak, Shal, Shamayim, Warataza, Waka, the Barium, Kayayam, Wakam, Hamashayak, Mayahawa, Arawanawa, Habnawa, Apala, Yawa Aitaza, Yahawasha, Zakarnawa, Yahawa, Bartazawan, Ainka, Yashala, Izarnawa, Bana, Wasap, Yashala, Oh, Nanawa, Yam Yan, Aifa, Kayawamyam, Makwadam, Babakusha, Shalak, Mike Allah, Watazawadak, Alahayam, La, Maganawa, Raparnawa, Washamab, Ionawa, Bakwo, Shalak, Haroka, Shao, Yahweh Shai, Lanawa, Lalamanawa, Rabiam, Kakama, Tabawana, Wada Aif, Shao, the Barka, Basham, Yahweh Shai, Wada, Tham Yad, Why Willam, Aman. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, most high power, King of heaven and earth and all things living, and also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahweh Shai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people Israel. Help us build and gather Israel, most high, we beg you, right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the spirit of Yahweh Shai to us to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you always and forever, so be it. Repeat the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the law. Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Asherat, Nathan Lanawa, Hathawarat. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us light to see. Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Asherat, Nathan Lanawa, Awar, Lara Awat. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the ram's horn to call the people. Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Asherat, Nathan Lanawa, Karan, Ha'ayo, La Korab, Ha'ain, Yeshabwa, be seated. Hey, what's up, y'all? Hey, sure. All right, so Shalom, Yasharala. All right, so Shalom, everybody here in the Philly School. Shalom, everybody watching us on live stream, and Shalom, everybody listening in on teleconference. Welcome to Hayah Shalakanas, or the Congregation of Israel, where we teach that the so-called Black, Latin, Native Americans are indeed the 12 tribes of Israel, and that we fall into a lower state politically, economically, even religiously, because we broke the laws of God, found the Bible given to us by Moses, and that we come out of this lower state that we fall into by keeping these commandments we broke, by following Jesus Christ as our example, who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. We come together tonight for the new moon, but we know this is a special new moon, as it is the 7th new moon of the Hebrew calendar, also known as the Memorial Blowing of Trumpets. Right, so the 7th new moon begins the 7th month, which has many high holy days within it. As we see that number 7 throughout scriptures, definitely comes up time and time again, right? Being a special number unto the Most High when it comes to how he counts things, right? You see, he'll have that number set aside, and you'll see it come up on many different occasions, right? Representing different things. So it shouldn't be a shock to us that the 7th month would have so many high holy days in it, and important ones too. So first, let's get the scripture on the Memorial Blowing of Trumpets. Let's go to where we're familiar with, Leviticus chapter 23, where we know most of the holy days are found. Leviticus chapter 23. Let's go there. Did you get that? Just let everybody know my name is Nabia Zerubabal. I'll be doing the service this evening. For your records and your notes, you can write down that today is September 19th, 2017, according to the Gregorian calendar. And of course, it's the 7th month and the first day according to our calendar. So September 19th, 2017, according to the Gregorian calendar, the 7th month and the first day according to our calendar. So when you get Leviticus chapter 23, I'm going to read verse 23 and read down to 25. It just does say "con" once you have it. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 23. Okay, so we'll rotate. I'll start off with the reading. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 23, it says, "And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying," 24, "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, and the first day of the month shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation." Right? So that's the time we're in right now in this year. The 7th month, the first day of the month. Right? So when you check out our calendar, we would tell the time of month based on the moon, right? We wouldn't use the sun like the calendar we're familiar with today. That's why those who call themselves Jews and are not, they're celebrating what? The 7th new moon, what, a couple days from now, right? Thursday, I think. So you'll notice that there are always some date where they tend to be some days off from the actual date that it falls under. Something even else crazy that they do is they call it Rosh Hashanah, which in the ancient Hebrew is Ra'ash Hashanah, which means the first of the year. That can't be true if they're supposedly following the Torah, right? Which they don't, because the beginning of the year is supposed to be in the springtime, during the time of Passover. We read that some months back, right? During the time of Exodus, it says, "This shall be a beginning of months unto you." And that's in the springtime during the barley harvest. And the barley harvest, even now in 2017, still comes in the time of the spring. So according to the law, that's the beginning of the year, not now. But they call this the beginning of the year. So how does that add up? Oh yeah, that's right, it doesn't. So let me read 24 again. It says, "Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall you have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation," right? So every new moon or every new month we come together, but it says this 7th month we come together and sound off the trumpet. This is an example of a trumpet, right? In the ancient Hebrew, shawapar, you might hear it said by in the Yiddish shofar or ram's horn, right? But then you also read in the scriptures we even use trumpets made of different metals, right? Like silver to sound off as well, right? And the trumpets, we know they serve a very important purpose, just in general, but especially for Israel. Depending on how you sound them off, they represent different things. Sometimes a certain melody is played or way it's played represents what? Like we're talking about now, coming together for a holy convocation. Other times you can have a trumpet that sounds off for an alarm, right? Meaning, watch out, or we have some invaders. Like they would sound off men who were watchmen on the edge of the city. They saw like an enemy or someone coming in or some sort of danger. They would sound off another way. And you read about us in the wilderness, we were moving different places, the different tribes as they were arranged, especially you read about this in Numbers. They knew that when they heard a certain sound, that this group would move forward or move back or stop, right? So the trumpet definitely is very important for us and how it's used and how it's sounded. But we'll touch on some scriptures dealing with that. It says, "In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation," or a holy gathering. Convocation just means gathering, right? To gather together. Verse 25, "Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh," right? So you shall do no servile work therein. So just like the Sabbath day, right? We're not supposed to do any work around the house or work for hire, right? We're supposed to rest on this day, right? We apply grace if we have to, depending on, if we work for ourselves and we have clientele, or if we work for someone else, right? If we're not able to use our time off or arrange our schedule that way, we apply grace. But ideally, under our rulership, this would be an ordinance that we will follow, right? We will have anyone subject to us or under us to follow this as well, right? All families, all communities, and the nation at large. It says, "And ye shall make an offering made by fire into your house," so going into an offering that we will give during this high holy day. Let's get some detail into what that is. So you can drop this, go to Numbers chapter 29. Now we all know when we read Numbers chapter 28 and chapter 29, it goes into the specific offerings that we would do then for different high holy days. We know now ultimately we go through Christ, right? As he's that ultimate sacrifice that we do now, right? This not being reinstituted until the kingdom comes in. But yet and still, because he shed his blood, it's the only reason why we don't do the burnt offerings or the peace offerings or the free will offerings. There's other ways we can do offerings, right? In the spirit, right? As far as what? Good works, as far as even doing food or certain preparation, right? Things for the temple, things for the service. Works as far as offerings to wake up Israel, using whatever spiritual gifts the Most High has blessed you with, right? Whether it's teaching or different types of artwork, whether it's painting, or whether it's music, right? Or whether it's just charity, doing community service, right? Or posters, designing things. There's all different types of ways we can bring out this truth, utilizing spiritual gifts the Most High has bestowed upon us. That's how we do our offerings, right? So there's many different ways to offer unto the Lord. Let's read specifically how we did these offerings. It says, Numbers 29 and verse 1. Brother Zakar, let me get you to read that, Baba Kushan. Numbers 29, 1, and we'll read down to 6.
And in the 7th month, on the first day of the month.
1 second, I think I still have some pages. I'll make sure we're all there. Everybody have it? Okay, take it away.
29, verse 1. And in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, ye shall have a holy convocation. Ye shall do no certain work. It is a day of blowing the trumpet to you.
Right, so talking about the same holy day we read about in Leviticus, read on.
And ye shall offer a burnt offering for a sweet savor to the Lord, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the first year without blemish.
Right, so now it's going to the specific offerings, right? We will offer for an offering. It says 1 young bullock, right, or a bull, 1 ram, right, which is a sheep, and it says which are a male sheep, and 7 lambs of the first year without blemish, so young sheep. But it says they should be of the first year, so nothing below that. You know, it's a delicacy they put out there in the supermarkets. You know, buy this veal, right? You want to get the meat when it's nice and tender, but when it came to our offerings, the Most High said, no, let it be at least a year old and not younger. Read on.
Verse 3, and their meat offering shall be a flour mingled with oil. 3/10 dill for a bullock, and 2/10 dill for a lamb.
Right, so going into the meat offering, which, you know, the name is kind of tricks you when you hear it, because you think, oh, meat offering, you're offering meat. But you read Leviticus, the 2nd chapter, it's actually not meat. It goes with whatever that animal is that you offer. But it's flour mingled with oil, right? And it could be prepared different ways when you read Leviticus chapter 2. So you have these meat offerings that went with those different animals that we offer.
Verse 4, and 1/10 dill for 1 lamb throughout the 7 lambs.
So each of the 7 lambs got 1/10 deal, right? So this is going into a certain volume, right, of wheat, of flour and oil mix that would go with each of the lambs. Okay.
Kid of the goats for a sin offering to make an atonement for you.
So we even offer a kid of the goats for a sin offering, right, to make atonement for sins on this day, right? It's interesting because we know on the Day of Atonement, that's coming up next week. We'll see the offerings that we do in that time and what we do during that time to atone for our souls, right, as it pertains to the fast. Verse 6.
Besides the burnt offering of the month, and his meat offering, and the daily burnt offering, and his meat offering, and their drink offering, according to their manner, for a sweet savor and sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord.
Right. So it says we would do this beside the burnt offering of the month, and his meat offering, and the daily burnt offering. So these are other offerings we would normally do, right? So every month we would have that, and then every day we would have the offering in the morning, the offering in the evening. Because when you read previously, when you go back to Numbers 28, it goes into what we offered every day, what we offered each Sabbath, what we offered each month, and then what we offer on each of the high holy days. That's all it's referring to here when it says besides the burnt offering of the month and his meat offering, and a daily burnt offering and his meat offering, and their drink offerings according to their manner, as is specified in the law when you read Leviticus. For a sweet savor, a sacrifice made by fire into your house. So it'll be a sweet smell unto the Lord, right? We will prepare it down here. We'll give the necessary animals and different goods to the Levites to make the offering. And the Most High in the heavens, he will smell it and consider it a sweet smell, right? That's what it means when it says a sweet savor. But of course, it wouldn't be a sweet savor if, like we read in other scriptures, if Israel came together to keep it, but our hearts and minds weren't in the right place when we came together to keep these holy days, right? As you read in other scriptures, it says how what? he hates and despises our feast days. Not that he hates the law, but he hated how we were keeping it because we weren't in the right frame of mind doing it. So with this mercy that we have now through Christ, let's make sure we get it right this final time, this one last time. Let's be in that right spirit when we come together to do it, right? Unlike our forefathers before us. So on the trumpets, I was mentioning silver trumpets earlier. Stay in Numbers. Go to chapter 10. Numbers chapter 10. We'll start from 1, and then we'll read down to 10. And Akbar, if you could read that once everybody has it. Numbers chapter 10, start from verse 1.
Yeah, everybody got it? Yeah. Numbers chapter 10, starting from verse 1 down to 10. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Make thee 2 trumpets of silver. Of a whole piece shalt thou make them, that thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly, and for the journeying of the camps.
Right, so now, like we were saying before, we had the different types of trumpets, but then we also use the trumpets for different things. These silver trumpets are being commanded by Moses to be made, as it says, as he read, for the calling of the assembly and for the journeying of the camps, right? So you hear it, you know, oh, it means to come together for a convocation or something needs to be discussed, or we're keeping a high holy day, something like that. Or for the journeying of the camps. To sound off meaning, okay, now this tribe here in this position moves forward or stops moving, right? So it says, for the calling of the assembly and for the journeying of the camps. Read on.
Read. And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Right, it says, and when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Because remember, when we were in the wilderness, we were like a mobile nation, right? A nation on the move. We would set up camp, pack up, move again, set up camp. And every time we would move to a different location, the Levites and then the sons of Aaron amongst them, they would reset up the tabernacle of the congregation. So before we had a temple, that's what we used, the tabernacle, right? Just a very large, elaborate tent. And the people would arrange themselves in their respective tribes, and then we'll be in front of the Levites where the tabernacle was. The goal was the altar burnt offering, right? Once you went into the outer court. Anything beyond the altar burnt offering, that was for the sons of Aaron, right? That was kind of the go-between. Right? We would bring our different animals and flour and things like that for the offering. And then the priest would carry forth the work. We just supplied the raw materials, if you will. Read on.
4. And if they blow but with one trumpet, then the princes which are heads of the thousands of Israel shall gather themselves unto thee.
Right, so not only just the melody, but even if it was just one versus both being played at the same time. They heard one, they knew, oh, okay, this just means for the heads to come together, right? When we hear just the one trumpet sound off. Read on.
When ye blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east part shall go forward.
Right, so it says blow an alarm. So a specific way they blew it, you knew that it was an alarm. Right, for something that we can compare to today, you know, if any of us were, you know, are in the military or used to be in the military, got family, or you just read or listen or you know, watch TV or whatever, you'll see they play different sounds, right, depending on what's going on, right? Sometimes they have a certain melody that they play, you know, it means all right, time to wake up, time to get ready. They play another one, you know, oh, that's a more somber melody. Take off your hat, right? You had the flag halfway up, someone just died, right? But they play a different melody, it means something else, right? So we had a similar thing where we sound off a certain way and you knew what it meant. This being an alarm. It says, as he read, then the camps that lie on the east part shall go forward. 6.
When ye blow an alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey. They shall blow an alarm for their journeys.
Right. So now it says you do that same alarm, but then do it twice. Then the south or the south side of the camp knows to move forward. You know.
7. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, ye shall blow, but ye shall not sound an alarm.
Right. So they just sounded, you know, I guess a regular way. They didn't sound specific for an alarm to know, or for the people to hear it. They would know, oh, it's just a kind of, it just means to come together. It doesn't mean that it's an alarm that we need to get mobile or get moving. We don't.
8. And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations.
So this is another task that was placed upon Aaron and his sons after him, right? The Aaronic line of priests, right? A reckoned family line within Israel. That they would blow with these trumpets. Read on.
9. And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresses you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God, and ye shall be saved from your enemies.
So it says, if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before Yahweh your power, right? So when you read throughout the scriptures, after this point, you see different occasions where we sounded off with the trumpet, and the Most High came and delivered us on our behalf. Of course, we were following righteousness when the Most High would do it. If we were doing wickedly, you know, we could sound off all we want, it wouldn't matter, right? We had to be doing righteous first, right? Like you read about during the time of Joshua, like we just read not too long ago during the time of the Maccabees, when Judas was fighting the fights with his men, those that were with him, where they would sound off against the alarm against the Greeks, being even outnumbered. The Most High would send help down to what? Allow them the victory against their enemies at that time. So you see it throughout history in different time frames. And you would use the trumpets.
Yeah, you can write down Ecclesiasticus, 50th chapter in the Apocrypha. When it goes into read the 15th chapter, starting off with Simon the high priest, it gives you visuals of the order of what goes on in the temple. And in the 16th verse, it tells you about the same thing we just read in the Numbers 10. I'll read it. This is Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. You got it, Anawa? Ecclesiasticus, chapter 50, verse 16 to 17. It says, then shouted the sons of Aaron.
Everybody has it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Written down.
Ecclesiasticus 50,
written down at least.
16 to 17. It says, verse 16. Then shouted the sons of Aaron and sounded the silver trumpets and made a great noise to be heard for a remembrance before the Most High. Verse 17. Then all the people together hasted and fell down to the earth and upon their faces to worship their Lord Power Almighty, the Most High. Right? So read the whole chapter. It gives you, even from the ceremony of what you do at the altar to the trumpets blowing to the offerings, everything, it gives you that description. But I just wanted to point out that even here, we highlight the silver trumpets being blown by the priests. You mentioned, as far as for going to war, you can write down First Maccabees, the 4th chapter, in the Apocrypha, First Maccabees, the 4th chapter, verses 8 to 13. 19.
Page 118.
Right. I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to give you these precepts. This goes into what Nabi mentioned earlier, that when Judas Maccabees were about to go to war, in conjunction with praying to the Most High, they also sounded the trumpets before they went to war, like we read this in the law here, in Numbers 10. That was First Maccabees 4, 8 to 13. And then you can just write down, there was a time when Joab and them was going after Absalom, and they went to go kill Absalom. The men that was going after him, Joab sounded the trumpet for them to stop, for them to turn and come back, right? So it's just highlighting that the trumpet, like you mentioned, was, one of our main tools to get, the people's attention, or to give instruction or direction. Days when the Most High, when Yahweh and the angels come back, the trumpet is going to be sounded, right? Everybody's going to hear that sound and that alarm and know that, something's going on. So even in the beginning, when the Most High first seen Israel and had Israel come to the mount, the trumpet was sounded then to get the people to come to the mount before they present themselves before the Most High. So like you said, it's a lot of different cases throughout the scriptures. We don't pay attention to it a lot, but it's done because of what the Most High put in the law.
Yeah, Numbers 10 and 2, it says 2 trumpets of silver of a whole piece. It's one of those long trumpets. In one piece, straight like that.
Each trumpet was a different side. In verse 5, when it say when you blow an alarm, then the camps that lie in the east part. It's talking about Judah and Issachar. And then the next verse where it say it's on the camps that lie in the south was I believe Reuben and another camp.
Come on, let's prove it. What you just said.
Right.
You can go earlier on in Numbers, right?
Okay. I'm sorry, Numbers 2 verse 3. I'm gonna read 10 again first, then jump back to it. Numbers 10 and 5. When ye blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east parts shall go forward. And then this is Numbers 2 verse 3. And on the east side, toward the rising of the sun shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah.
Oh, look, I think we have some pages turning.
Sorry. 2, 3.
Okay.
God.
Numbers 2 verse 3. And on the east side, toward the rising of the sun, shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch. And Nashan, the son of Amminadab, shall be captain of the children of Judah, and his hosts, and those that were number of them were 314,600. And those that do pitch next unto him shall be the tribe of Issachar, and Nathaniel, the son of Zoar, shall be captain of the children of Issachar. And Numbers 10 and 6 it say, when ye blow an alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey. They shall blow an alarm for their journeys. And in Numbers 2 and 10, it say, on the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben, according to their armies, and the captain of the children of Reuben shall be Eliezer, the son of Shaddar. And the host of those that were numbered thereof were 1,500, and those which pitch the tribe of Simeon, and the captain of the children of Simeon shall be Shalamiel, the son of Zerah Shaddai. And his hosts, and those that were number of them were 59,300. Then the tribe of Gad, and the captain of the sons of Gad shall be Elisaph, the son of Ruel.
Come. So that definitely helps out with the visual, right? As far as trying to picture it in our mind's eye when we see it. And we may see these different movies. Oftentimes they're like fantasy movies, or maybe movies that take place in the past where you've got the center, you've got the left and the right. You see like ancient combat, or there's even certain games where you can even simulate ancient forms of combat where you have the general or the captain of the host in the middle. He'll give a signal to his left, and or a signal to the right, and then they'll come up, and then they change position based on what the enemy does, right? So it definitely required a certain level of coordination. And with the trumpet, it was loud enough to where people could hear. And then once they were trained, they knew what to do once they heard the sound. You know, but you know, with the technology, the communication is slightly different. But we were able to do it even without the technology, the use of the trumpets and different signals, right, being waved, especially from a high point where everybody could see masses of people at once. Okay, so that was Numbers 2, 3 to 9, and 10 to 16 for the 3 to 9 for the east side and 10 to 16 for the south side. Yeah, that's what you read.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so back to Numbers chapter 10. I think we have one more verse there, or two more. I'll read 9 again, and then we'll read 10. So Numbers chapter 10, verses 9, it says, "And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before Yahweh your power. Ye shall be saved from your enemies." 10. "Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months," like we're in the beginning of the month now, just a special 7th month now, but for every new moon we will do this. "Ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for memorial before your power. I am Yahweh your power." Or in the Hebrew, Ani Yahweh Elohayanawa, right? So he's letting us know this is what to do during these different times, right? It's to come together, right? To let it be for memorial or something to remember.
Oh,
Oh, I thought you had a question.
no, no.
Oh, okay. Right, so that's Numbers chapter 10, verses 1 to 10. So now another place we can go to is in Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 33. This is for a specific office, but we know we can all take on this office, the spirit behind it, just like we talk about how we're a nation of priests, right? We're also consider ourselves a nation of watchmen, right? Even Christ in the New Testament tells us to what? Watch and pray. We don't know when the Son of Man is going to return, right? He's like the head of the house who went on a far journey and left his servants behind for work. It says you don't know when he's going to come. He can come at midnight, the cock crowing, right? The morning, right? So you don't want to be caught off guard, right? And you have to kind of train yourself to be in that mentality because, you know, this war is a long game. It's not a short game. You know, with Israel, oftentimes, you know, we're very much like expediency. You know, we want to put our brick in and get our result just like that. And when it comes to the truth, it doesn't necessarily work that way, right? This game requires stamina. This is a long distance run. It's not a sprint, right? Which means you have to maintain a steady pace. Right? You got to pace yourself because otherwise, what? You can burn out, as we've seen certain men and women has happened to them. And they were expecting to get certain things in a certain time frame, and it didn't happen on their time. And they said, "Oh, you know, this is not what I expected," right? Maybe the Lord's not here, or I want to do what I want to do. This is getting in the way. Whereas they were actually on the right track, they just needed to stick with it. You know, so we want to make sure we order our lives right and realize that while the Most High isn't necessarily on our time, He's always on time. As long as we're in that mentality of continuously watching, guard, because we'll see all the prophecies as they come to pass and be well aware that while there are more prophecies that can come to pass, we just still don't know when that day or that hour is.
I was just going to say that, that's why Christ said endure to the end.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The same shall be saved.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorites at camp, right? Because our people in confusion, they always say, "Oh, I'm saved, brother. I'm delivered." And you say, "Oh yeah, what about this verse here?" Right? Delivered from what? How are you saved?
Yeah, that's they'll tell you they saved anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like some Christians, they show them the scripture.
Yeah. So this is Ezekiel chapter 33. You can read this, Baba Prashad. We'll start from 1, read down to verse 20. We'll read through it swiftly, and then I want to go back again to Exodus. Let's go all the way down to 20.
Ezekiel 33:1. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast, and set him for their watchman, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blow a trumpet and warn the people, then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet, and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head.
That's pretty straightforward, right? You get the warning, right? You get the heads up that danger's coming. You hear the trumpet. It's like, okay. Then you still just, like kind of what we see happening right now in the Caribbean, right? Down there in the different islands, like in Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. And they even said, I think the governor of Puerto Rico was going door to door saying, what are you still doing here? Get out, leave. Hurricane Maria is going to destroy you. Come. We have resources, right? Leave your house. The people were getting the warning, but they were just staying, right? But now on a spiritual level, when it comes to this, the destruction that's coming, we can definitely look at this and say, yeah, we need to take heed to that sound when we hear it. Now we sound off when we teach the word, right? That's like a trumpet, if you will, right? A word of alarm before the destruction actually comes. To say, hey, get yourself right, clean up your act, clean your mind up, right? Because as a man thinketh, so is he. Because why? The time is at hand. We're in the last days. Check out the prophecies as they come to pass. You want to keep that curse on you, brother, sister, right? So we sound off that alarm. As watchmen, watching for the souls of our brothers and sisters, with the hope that some will hearken, even though we want all to hear it. Read on.
Verse 5. He heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning. His blood shall be upon him. But he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul.
Right. Keep going.
But if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity. But his blood will I require at the watchman's hand.
You see that? So now the watchman doesn't sound off with a trumpet. He's like what it tells you what Christ said about this time. What did he say? He said, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Right? In the last days it says that what? Men shall be lovers of themselves. They say, yeah, I have knowledge, I have understanding about something. Share that with him or her. Why? I'm good over here. It's not my fault they don't know this. Right? We run into this a lot too when we're out there teaching. We say, yo, you're an Israelite brother, sister, you know about the end times? Yeah, I know. Well, what are you doing to put that word out? Hey, it's like, you kidding me? Someone took the time out to tell you, right? You don't mean to tell me you're not going to try to let others know the truth as well? All the times sometimes they may just say it to get them off our back, right? They'll answer all the right questions, the right answers, so they can keep walking, right? So you can leave them alone. Israel, they adapt very well, right? That's when they see us out there teaching a lot. But the whole thing is, don't just be selfish with whatever you've been shown. Impart unto your brother and sister, right? Provide light for their darkness. Don't just sit in your light and then don't let it shine. So if you could take that road, it says that what? The blood of that brother or sister that required the watchman's hand, because he didn't let them know that there was danger ahead, right? Don't just be the wise man that perceived the evil and hide himself, and then don't at least try to get some that are around to say, hey, you don't see what's going on down at the end of that block? You might want to go a different way. She might not want to go that direction at all. I'll just keep quiet and let your brother just walk into it. Give them warning. If they don't hearken like we're reading, now it's on them, but at least you've delivered yourself.
No, I was just gonna say that's just like having a conversation with somebody, like with a brother or sister,
Uh-huh.
and not sharing the knowledge, like not correcting them. Just like hey, like for example, I ran into my brother I used to be in the world with, back in my street days. He was just getting out of prison.
Okay.
And it was like, since it hadn't been a long time, I was just in the spirit of like, man, it was good to see you, like that. And I was kind of concerned about how everybody else was doing back in the neighborhoods, like that. And it was almost like I got into the spirit of, I dropped the knowledge on him. I was like, I ain't gonna let it go down like that. Well, you know what I mean? I'm gonna part. I'm gonna let you know the reason why we were going through all that. A lot of people in the neighborhoods destroying one another,
right,
and being put to death, all that kind of stuff. So I didn't let us depart without me telling him, brother, that he's that we the children of Israel.
That's 12. Step of 12.
I'll bring it to the Most High.
Isaiah 56:10.
Isaiah 56:10. Okay, does everybody have it? Before you read that, that's a Tawab thing, and depending on the scenario, and I'll show it. Sometimes it may not be the time to bring a verse out. At least if you're gonna, you're gonna see that person again. Depending on what the situation may be, what they might be going through, you might say, okay, let me just ease back, and then when I talk to them, when they have maybe a cooler head, or when like that wasn't your scenario, but I'm saying if a scenario did present itself where something else may be happening, you might say, you know what, let me just keep quiet for now, and then present it to them when it's they might be more receptive to the message. Kind of like what we read about in the scriptures about dealing with drunkenness, right? If you're dealing with someone who's had too much to drink, they say how you're not supposed to try to edify, go back and forth with a person like that, right? Just make sure that they don't hurt themselves or hurt anybody the best you can. Just try to get them home safe. There's no point even going back and forth with wisdom and knowledge, because they're in their mirth. If they had a little too much, they're really not going to know what's what. They're going to wake up the next day with their ringing head and scratches and bumps, trying to figure out how did I get this. Even Esau, he's got made a blockbuster movie about that, right? Called The Hangover, right? To make a light of it, I guess they said, yeah, I've been there, man. Yeah, what a night. But that's not cool, right? What's that scripture we always laugh about in Proverbs, where Solomon says, don't look upon the strong drink or the wine in the glass as it moveth itself aright in the cup, right? Where you got your drink, you're like, Solomon said, don't do that. So it was an issue back then, going on ancient times too. I mean, look at Noah, right?
Yeah. And funny thing is, they call it being wasted, and Esau being wasted away to sea.
Interesting play on words there.
I was just gonna say that to back up what I was saying. What was that? Ecclesiastes.
Right. Before you read that, let me read Isaiah, and then you get that.
Isaiah 56:10. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down. loving to slumber.
That one in a while. But yeah. Yeah, I remember that verse as you read it. Kind of. What's your link? Which your name again?
Survival car.
Okay, so that's Zarai. Zarai Zakar. You said Zarai Zakar?
Survival car.
Zakar. Okay. Is that Baqar? Oh, Kar.
Okay.
Okay, okay. And what was your verse, brother?
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1.
Yes. Yeah, the verse I'm about to pull goes with that. Yeah.
It says, to everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven.
Con, absolutely. You want to jump down and read verse 7?
But those of Israel will not hearken unto thee, for they will.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but where you were? Yeah, verse 7.
Ecclesiastes 3, verse 7. A time to rent and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak.
Con, just to highlight the scenario you were discussing, brother. And I wanted to read this in Ecclesiasticus to go with that. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 20 and verse 6. Because that's oftentimes, at least for me, the way that the law really sticks. You can go through the law, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. Okay, right? Yeah, I read this before. But when you have an actual scenario you can attach it to, whether it's something you read like in the Kings or Chronicles, or something you've been through, or something you see, or something you may see hear in a song lyric, something you may see in a movie, it's like it helps you remember it easier. You know, it's like going to law school, where okay, you're learning these different laws and statutes, ordinance number 25.267, whatever. But then when you have case law, that's when it's like, oh, okay, and they start actually connecting it with actual cases, right? Say, okay, here's what happened in the situation. Here are the laws that we applied to come to this particular verdict. And it's like, oh, okay. And then it's like you can see the laws in action. So the scriptures are more of a law book than anything else, right? So we can definitely do it with the scriptures when we go through the Kings and Chronicles. You know, as you read through it, you'll see like, man, it seems like every time they make like a video or a movie out of it, or like a series, it always ends up getting canceled. Like I think I've seen at least 2 King Saul, King David stories that began. Of course, it was Esau, but it never gets past the first season for some reason. It's like they always start with it, and then they just cancel it. So, I don't know. But this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 20 and verse 7. I'm sorry, verse 6 to link with what you read in Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. Ecclesiasticus 20 and 6. It says, "Some man holdeth his tongue because he have not to answer, and some keep the silence knowing his time." Right. So it's not always necessarily like, yes, say something. No, don't say something. It's not always black and white. Like yes, you would or you wouldn't. Sometimes it is, but other times it's not. Right. Depends on the situation. So let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 33, and let's continue about the watchman sounding with the trumpet. You can probably just stop there, because the next section is more so going you directly warning the wicked as a watchman, as opposed to sounding with the trumpet. So we can stop in verse 6 for time's sake. Let's also go to Exodus 19. The famous Exodus 19, right? This is since we're talking about the Bible being a law book, right? This is where we can see the contract that Israel made with the Most High, right? You know, Israel today will say, "Oh, I'm not an Israelite. I'm a Gentile," or "I don't believe in that stuff. I do my own thing." Right? I didn't make any agreement with the Most High. We can go here in Exodus 19 and say, "Oh, you sure about that?" The scriptures say otherwise. This is evidence of the verbal agreement made between the people, Most High, and Moses was there, and it's written. So whether we want, whether we like it or not, no matter what we want to do in this life, and no matter what deals we may make with people, whether it's carnal or spiritual deals, we're still held to this covenant, this deal, which is what? To uphold the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. But let's read it. Let's read evidence of this deal. Here we go. Let me get finished here. Okay, so chapter 19. I just think we want to start here. I guess we can start from verse 7. So first, let's read 7, and we'll read down to 9. Kahanyao Kanan, if you could read this, Baba Kushah. Exodus 19, 7. We'll read to 9, and then I want to jump down. Let's read this first.
Exodus 19, verse 7. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord had spoken we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord.
Right, you see that? So here's that agreement, right? Where we as a nation said, yes, we agree to follow the words of the Lord, right? In case anybody wants to say, I wasn't there, I didn't make any agreement. You show them this. And you also, go into the regeneration, right? Reincarnation, as far as how it works. But just to show that, yeah, we are forefathers, right? That could have been us coming out of Egypt. We don't know, per se. Read on in verse 9.
Verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord.
Right. See, so I'm going to come unto thee in a thick cloud. Oh, there's the cloud again. We were just talking about that last Sabbath. He comes unto us in a thick cloud, right? Speaking of which, I just kind of caught it by accident. A YouTube channel. I think the brother's channel's name is Malak Dawiyad, but he posted a interesting video. I'm not sure what it was, but you see like some strange cloud cover, but then you see it almost looks like a beam of light, but it's not going all the way. It almost looks like a sword is on fire, but it's like going back and forth, almost like a spotlight. It looks like a sword going back and forth. So it says, flaming sword in heaven. So, strange things going on in the heavens. You kind of see it going back and forth, and it's like you can tell it's eating my film, and he's just, oh man, dude, what is that? And then what is it? I don't know if it's exactly what we read here in the scriptures, but since we're talking about the blowing of trumpets, yeah, I've seen these other videos too, where they say there's like these certain places certain places in the U.S., like along the East Coast, like I think it might have been in Pennsylvania or somewhere in the Midwest, but then also somewhere in Eastern Europe where people are like filming. You hear like this, but it's not like an air raid sound, like a fighter planes coming in. It's not that. But when you hear it, it's just like it definitely sounds like something else, you know. But they're trying to figure out what it is, and you know, so-called Christians, a lot of them heathen, are like, you know, it's the trumps of God. But definitely a lot of weird stuff going on. Sure that when we see something, we say, yes, this is prophecy of the Lord, or this could just be something else. It's not necessarily what the scriptures are talking about, right? Because when certain things that are happening, the scriptures make it very clear. Other things that are ambiguous, just kind of leave it as is and say, well, just not sure. Let me look more into it. But jump down to verse 16.
Verse 16. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled.
Right, so it says that third day in the morning, it says there were thunderings and lightning, right? Just as the Most High told Moses it would be. And a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud. So we know trumpets down here on this level that we sound are loud, but imagine a trumpet from heaven, how that would sound, and an angel playing that, right? Or whoever was playing it up there. It says so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. So just imagine, you know, if you were there and heard that and saw that, right? How would you respond? Read on.
And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet, and they stood at the nether part of the mount.
Keep going.
And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly.
Keep going.
And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him.
Whereas the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder. So it got even louder and louder as they beheld this amazing sight. It says that Moses spake, and then it says, in power answered him by a voice. You don't.
And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up.
Right. So now a sight like this is definitely setting Moses apart, right? Because remember, he was our mediator at that time, right? To where the people saw this, witnessed this, and it was like, wow, Most High really dealing with Moses and dealing with us, right? To where anything that he says we need to adhere to, because he's the spokesperson. He's being specially called up to go into the mount. So now after all this this sight that they beheld, right? Because remember, this is getting up to the time when the Most High is going to give the 10 Commandments, right? Let's jump past all that. Jump to 20 in verse 18. And we'll just read 18 to 21.
Exodus 20, verse 18. And all the people saw the thunderings, and the lightnings, and the noise of the trumpet, and the mount smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die.
Right. So after him speaking to Moses, giving those 10 Commandments, I mean, just imagine what the Most High's voice sounds like, you know? I mean, we may have heard it in the vision, right? Depending on how the Most High may have communicated with you, right? The Most High talks to us differently at times, even though it's with the same truth. Those of us who have been called into this truth. But just imagine, hearing His voice, what it would sound like, and just the power, to not just wonder, like now we go off of faith. Yeah, we know He's powerful based on what we read, but then just to see Him manifested like that, that's something else. But they said, yeah, Moses, please speak with us. We'll hear you, but don't let him speak to us, or we'll die, right? Well, first the brother here, and then you.
Oh, it's something that Israel grew up in, and they use different sound for different reasons. Calling the assembly was a particular sound. Calling for war is a particular sound. So that was something that Israel grew up with, and they know for each distinct sound, they know exactly what it meant. Right? So I just want to bring that out. It's not just they blow the trumpet and that's about it. There's a distinct sound for each event. If it's like calling the assembly for a holy day, it's a sound. Blow it for on a sacrifice, there's a sound. Right now, we just know that there's a trumpet, but we don't know the different sound because we lost that, and we have not been brought up in that Israelite custom to identify each sound or to even know how to sound today. But we know that the trumpet. So even when you have the silver trumpet for a specific purpose because it will make a particular sound. But they will know that when the trumpet is blowing, it's the silver sound that's being blown. So it was something that we and there's a scripture on that you can link. Maybe I'll read it.
Oh, and before he does, Zarabakar.
I think we already covered that silver trumpet.
Something with the trumpet?
Wow. I was just going to say, you were speaking about Most High power. I'll be on some stuff. Even the little smallest thing make me about that. I remember when I first came into the truth, and I asked a brother in the school that was teaching. I asked him a question about the Most High. It probably was like, where is the Most High? Where you come? Something like that. It's always been like a real deep thing. And that's just when I was first coming into the truth before I got raised up. And I remember what the brother told me. He said, brother, man, you don't want to know, you don't want to know, blah, blah, blah. And you don't want to, Lord, it's just too much. As I grew in this truth, I came to really, really realize it.
Just the things that have been shown to us are enough to really meditate on it, to take in, as far as the Most High and who He is. Those things are heavy enough. There's like you kind of maybe think of scripture in Ecclesiasticus where it talks about searching out the things that are too deep for thee, but that which is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. So just that understanding, it's good to have as far as showing how wisdom excels knowledge. Knowledge would seek those things out, the depths of the Lord. Wisdom would say, let me just lean back for a second, kind of take in what I already know, meditate on that. Because even with what we have here that's written, we don't even have this all together. What's already written. There's so many things the scriptures talk about, all the things written of that aren't in this book, but they're in heaven. Things that Christ said and did that are not found in the book, right? There's so many things that are not written, right? That many men and women seek out to try to find all these things that are not written, but written that we just still haven't wrapped our head around yet. It takes wisdom to really come to a place of acceptance, say, let me focus on this first, right? And it's a good frame of mind when you're talking to someone who's really into doctrines, or being attentive with doctrines left and right, reading this book and that book. You can say, okay, you want to talk about people living out in the far distant galaxies, perhaps, but I can't say one way or the other, but can we at least figure out what to do here? It's like people are so quick trying to figure out what's going on out there. They haven't even mastered this yet. We want to go out into space, but the Earth's a mess. We haven't figured out how to deal on the Earth yet. So it's just like, while knowledge wants to seek out what's beyond, wisdom would say, let's try to get what's right here correct first, right? Figure out what's right around us. There's so much in the Earth that still hasn't even been explored, right? But you're so quick to go, space, the final frontier, et cetera, and so forth. So, it's just a good way of putting things in perspective when it comes to, like, what we're talking about, the depths of the Lord and what he entails. But I think before we read on, did you have it? So if you can continue on in verse 20, Exodus 20 and 20.
And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, for God is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not.
Right. So that's what he's telling him. He says, yeah, while you're terrified at this sight, he's coming to prove you that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not. Right? Because it's easy to be all in line with the Most High at this point, right? He's in, you heard his voice, and the thunderings and the lightnings and the trumpet blasting, right? But then when he goes away, you're not seeing him manifest himself like that. It should be that same level of terror going forward. But that's just the trouble. That's just the dilemma. It's just like somebody being in your face, right? It could be a boss or a head of an organization or a coach or something, right? It's in your face telling you, yes, you need to be doing X, Y, Z. And you're like, okay, fine. And then they leave, and then you don't see the person for so many days. Do you still have that same, okay, let me stay in line, do the right thing? Or is it, oh, they can't see me, or they're far away. It doesn't matter right now. I'm going to do what I want to do. Right? So it's kind of been a dilemma with Israel. And what you're going to see when you read in Revelation, the heathen and our people are going to be cursing God as they're being destroyed by him. That's how rooted the wickedness is going to be, right? Still denying him even in that day, right? As the hail is falling and the fire, fire and hail is falling from heaven like it did with Sodom and Gomorrah or Egypt. It says the people are still going to be cursing in that day. So this is the challenge. This is what we're this is the level to be on, where you say, yeah, let me act as if the Lord is speaking, just like that right now, when I think about doing something wicked, right? Or if I'm just saying something that's wicked, let me consider it like Christ is right next door, or he's in the room with me, right? We tell ourselves that, but when the temptation comes to keep that frame of mind, it can be tough, because you don't see him, you don't hear him, so it's like, hey, he's off somewhere, you can't see what I'm doing over here. Like it says in Ecclesiasticus, who am I amongst all these little creatures that are in the earth, all the creation? How's he worried about what I'm doing over here? My thoughts over here, or this wickedness that I got going on. But it's like he's right next to you all the time. Oh, you can read 21 and then we'll stop.
And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was.
Right, so it says the people stood afar off, and then Moses drew near to the thick darkness where power was, right? And then, of course, it wasn't just the 10 Commandments. There was a lot more that he was given too, right? As we find out when we read on. Kind of, so that's like an example of the trumpets being manifested on a heavenly level. But now, as far as the trump that is to come, this is definitely a trump that we all should look forward to. I guess you can link this too, what we just read in Exodus 19. This is Hebrews. Before I get that verse, you can link up Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 18 down to down to 21. Where it's making comparison to that scene in Exodus 19. And as you read down, going into the role that Christ will play now in our salvation, in our deliverance. But Hebrews chapter 12, 18 to 21. Kambakwa, if you can read that, Baba Kushad, once everybody has it.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 18. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 18 reads, For ye are not come unto the mount that might be touched, and that burned with fire, nor unto blackness and darkness and tempest.
Right, so we're not come to the mount that might be touched, that burn with fire, nor into blackness or darkness and tempest, right? Same as what we read in Exodus 19. We don't.
And the sound of a trumpet, and a voice of words, which voice they that heard entreated that the word should not be spoken to them anymore.
Right, that's what we read, right? Let Moses speak to us, Moses, right? We'll hear you. Don't let him speak to us lest we die, right? His voice alone destroying us. Just like we know, looking at the Most High, you can't live, right? We don't.
Do that which was commanded, and if so much as the beast touch the mountain, it shall be stormed, but thrust through with a dart.
Right. So you read also in that section of Exodus. We didn't read that specific verse, but it says no one's supposed to come up on the mount, right? I think you had Joshua. It was like, kind of at the bottom. But everybody else was just, it's a, stay away. Otherwise, you'll be thrust through or destroyed. We don't.
And so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly fear and quake.
Right. So we're not coming to that, but when you read on, it tells us that we've come to this. Read on in verse 22.
But ye are come unto Mount Sion and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, into innumerable company of angels,
Keep going.
to the general assembly in church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect.
Right. So this is what we all want to be a part of, right? Many are called, yet still few are chosen. We hope that we all here are chosen, but time will have to tell it. And you can read 24 and stop.
And to Yahushua, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel.
Right. So it says to Jesus or Yahushua, the mediator of the new covenant. So remember, the old covenant was mediated through Moses, right? But the new covenant would be mediated through Christ. It says, into the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel, right? So the things that Abel said and did, Christ's righteousness would even excel that, right? As far as his offering being accepted. Just like the question was posed to Cain, right? When he said, am I my brother's keeper? He said, if thou doest well, shall not be accepted. If you don't do well, sin lieth at the door. So we want to knock at Christ's door, right? We want to walk through that doorway, because remember, he even said himself in the gospel, he is the door that we all must walk through. But for that last and final trump, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. First Corinthians chapter 15. And let's start from verse 51. Brother with the black hoodie, your Hebrew name again, I'm sorry.
Shar.
Shar?
Yashar. Tamaya.
Shar. He is a prince. You said Samyad?
Tamaya. Shar.
Khan. You could read that, Baba Kushah, well, please.
1 Corinthians 15, 51. Behold, I show you a mystery.
Just make sure everybody has it, right? Okay.
1 Corinthians 15, 51. Behold, I show you a mystery. You shall not all sleep, but you shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Right, so Paul talking about a mystery, right? But we shall all be changed, right? So you read it in the scriptures, when you die in righteousness, you'll see the wording used, they went to sleep, right? In this context, that's what it means. It doesn't mean you physically, okay, I went to bed, but it's talking about you died, but you're not really dead because you died in righteousness. I mean, you have the resurrection to look forward to, given your example on the earth. It says, we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. So this time when Christ comes back, if we died in righteousness, meaning we went to sleep, it says we'll all be changed. As the brother read, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, the trumpet shall sound, there's that trumpet again. It says, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, we shall be changed. So just like we have the sound of the trumpet for certain things here, you get the trumpet up there for certain things. And the trumpet's going to be used even for a glorious event like this, right? This is the major event that we had to look forward to, right? At least as far as we read, the next and perhaps last final high holy day to keep. Because, you know, we have holy days that we keep about things that happen already. But, you know, we always, you know, laugh about that. We say, yeah, this will be in the kingdom going forward, whatever day Christ comes back, that'll be a new holy day in the year that we keep, along with all the other holy days, right? Even something that'll be on a higher level than even the Passover. Because right now, the Passover is probably like the one of the biggest holy days, right? As far as you know, memorial and event and everything that's involved with it. But now, even the day of the Lord is going to outshine that, you know, for greatness, for deliverance. So it says, the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Are we doing in 53?
1 Corinthians 15, 53. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality.
Mm-hmm.
So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, it shall be brought to pass the same that is written. Death is swallowed up in iniquity.
Right. So this is going back to Hosea, prophecy that Hosea wrote, right? Where it says death is swallowed up in victory. So this is how it's going to happen. It's going to manifest itself like this, that prophecy. That's why it's always funny. People always say, yeah, you know, I often pray and I think that we're in a time of revelation. Revelation's happening right now, right? You probably have family or friends or people you talk to that are Christians saying, yeah, I think we're in a time of revelation. What do you think? And it's Yeah, parts of Revelation, but we're in parts of the Old Testament too that haven't happened yet. There's things that the Old Testament talks about that Revelation even doesn't talk about. We know we just can't read it from cover to cover. Like, yeah, everything that's Old Testament already happened, and then the New Testament still hasn't happened, right? You gotta be specific as far as where you read, because the Bible is a puzzle. It's not just written chronological order completely. Certain parts are, but as a whole, it's not. So this hasn't happened yet, and this is going back to something that was written in Hosea in the Old Testament. That hasn't happened yet, along with many other things. Read on.
1 Corinthians 15:55. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?
Right. So, death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? So we'll conquer the final enemy, right? I know with the Game of Thrones this last season, they had that theme come up in a couple of the episodes. And I started laughing. I said, "Where they got this from?" Remember when they were walking to where the White Walkers were, the group in the snow, and they're talking about fighting for the throne, this, that, and the third. And he said, "There's really only one battle, according to the Lord of Light. It's about life and death, right? Because with the White Walkers, they kind of changed the whole game. Where first it's like, oh, this family's going to take over. No, this family, the heir of this family, is going to take over the throne." And with the White Walkers, it's like, man, we all have a common enemy with this guy. Where if he wins, it doesn't even matter anymore. We're all dead. Let's fight for life and not death. So yeah, art imitates life once again, and imitates the truth. Read on in verse 56.
Verse 56. The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law.
Right. So the sting of death is sin. So when we commit sin, that's where we die. And the strength of sin is the law. So we overcome sin through righteousness, keeping the commandments. Read on.
But thanks be to Yahweh, which gives us the victory through Yahweh HaMashiach.
Come. So thanks be to power, which giveth us the victory through our Adawan, Yahweh Mashiach, because through him we live. Read on.
Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord.
Right. So we should be steadfast, right? Always abounding in the work of the Lord, right? Those fruits of the Spirit. We want to always stay in those things, right? Those character builders that make us take on that Christ character more perfectly. Insomuch as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So as we continue to do that before Christ comes back, we want to make sure that we're always ready, right? Like we talked about earlier in the class, right? Before we start the service. No man knoweth that hour or that day, right? So we don't want to be caught unawares or caught off guard. But if we're always in righteousness, always putting forth our best effort every day, we go to sleep, we can say, man, if I died tonight, I can feel good about what I've done thus far, right? That's something we want to be able to say every day that goes by. Now, certain days, we could probably say, yeah, I probably can't say that for such and such day because, right mind, I was going through something, and I said some things I didn't mean to say, did some things I didn't mean to do. But if we can go forward every night, we can say, yeah, I would feel okay, even if I died tonight, if I went to sleep tonight, I would feel all right that I put forth my best effort. That's a beautiful thing. We can say that every day that goes by, no matter what we're faced. We live out each day as if it's our last moment. But it's definitely a frame of mind that you kind of have to compel yourself. You have to always make sure you stay in as these days go by, because like we said earlier, we just don't know when he's coming back, and this might be a while. But that's where I came to a statement based on scripture, at least the thing that I try to continue as a mantra, which is, operate day by day as though Christ will come back any moment, but at the same time plan for the long term as though Christ will never come back in your lifetime. You take those two things into account, and hold on to those attitudes all the time, You never be caught unawares. You'll never be disappointed. You'll never be, surprised, so to speak, because you acknowledge that, yeah, while he can come back any moment, at the same time, I know he may never come back, at least in my lifetime. It may be in my children or my children's children's lifetime. Just like our forefathers that came before, right? They saw the kingdom afar off, but then they still lived their lives as if at any moment. They lived out their lives in righteousness until the end of their days, seeing the time that was to come. So we should still do the same thing because we're so close to the end. Let's get another scripture to a link of 1 Corinthians 15. Oh, sorry. Yeah, comment?
There was the scriptures about the sound of the trumpet. It was very intricate in our culture, where we have to be familiar with the sound of the trumpet. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 8. First Corinthians chapter 14. Verse 8 reads, "For if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle?" So the trumpet we have to intelligently understood the sound of the trumpet and what it communicates. So we know exactly how to respond. And I'll read verse 9 when he is going to give more further explanation. It says, "So likewise, ye except ye order by the tongue words easy to be understood." It's the same way when we speak the word, it has to be clear and easy to understood. Right? For the ear that's hearing it, it makes sense. It says, "How shall it be known what is spoken? For ye shall speak into the ear." So if the sound is sound, or we speak in the word and it's not understood, how shall it be understood? It's like you speaking into the ear. And it says there are, and it's gonna give different things that are in the world that may sound good, right? That mean different sounds, but you have to understand what the sound communicates. In verse 10 it says, it may be so many kinds of voices in the world, and none of them is without signification. So if it goes to explain, the different sound, and make comparison.
Come. So 1 Corinthians 14, 8-9. So let's also read this verse as well, and then I'll leave the floor open for any other questions or comments or scriptures. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 15-17. And Brother Amawan, if you could read that, Baba Kushan. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 15-17.
First Thessalonians 4, verse 15. "For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep."
Come. So those that are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord. So when Christ actually does make a second coming, you're going to have some of us that are alive in the earth, some of us that have already died in the spirit world, like we read in Corinthians, went to sleep, right? It says they should not prevent them which are asleep. Read on.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven without a shout, with the voice of the archangel.
That's you're with the shout.
Himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first.
Right. So telling him coming down, telling him that he's going to come down with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God. See that? So there's the trump right there, right? It says, and the dead in Christ shall rise first, right? So those that are in the spirit world but that died in righteousness, it says that they shall rise first. 17.
Then we, which are alive and remain, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord.
Right. So this going into those souls now from the spirit world and those that be in the earth, them going through that change that Corinthians is talking about, right? So we definitely want to be a part of that number, right? We have that Negro spiritual, right? When those saints go marching in, right? How I love to be in that number when the saints go marching in, right? If that ain't prophesying in sackcloth, I don't know what is, because, you know, we saw through a glass darkly then, right? We didn't really know who we were, but we sang that song. But now knowing the truth, we look back and say, man, yeah, we can definitely sing that in knowledge now, right? How we'd love to be in that number, how it was actually talking about us, right? As the Lord's saints go marching in. So yeah, we definitely want to be a part of this here. Caught up with them in the clouds. To be on the side of Christ in that day, because you don't want to be Christ's enemy in that day. You want to be the enemy of the thousands of heaven, right? That are coming with him. Thousands of clouds that are coming with him. Come, so, well, we'll make an end here. There are many other verses that deal with trumpets, but, you know, I just figured I'd cover certain ones that, you know, are pertinent to our memorial. Serve both on this level and on a higher level coming from the third heaven. And of course, how all this ties back to believing on Yahweh Shai Mashiach for our salvation, and the crucial role that he plays in the nation of Israel getting right. Come, so we'll close now. Most High's will talk to everybody in the Friday classes coming up. And we'll also talk a little bit in the class. Most High's will give you a preview of the holy days that are coming up this month. We have the Memorial Blowing, the Day of Atonement coming up next week. And then the week after, the beginning of the Feast of Tabernacles. So we'll talk about those things, talk about the importance of those high holy days over the next couple classes, so that we're prepared and we read over it so that when they come, that we're ready. So we still got some time, but like I said, we'll just make sure as we do, you know, our regular Q&A in our lessons, that we'll deal with those particular holy days, so that we're ready for the seventh month.
Nadia, when you mentioned that show Game of Thrones, I never saw. I saw a preview. Was reruling? Was that the Dark Ages? What time and period was that? Because I know Shamar talked about that too. But the Game of Thrones, I heard people talk about that. Was we still ruling that time? That's when they was making a transition. The Esau getting back into power.
Yeah, it's not, that show isn't based on real history. It's kind of like it's kind of like a fantasy type story.
Oh, okay.
Like The Hobbit, you know, or like Lord of the Rings. They make up places.
Mm-hmm. I know one show is kind of like the point of they put it back on for the both years. They put it back on again for a second time.
Khan. Yeah, that one's actually, you know, based in history. Really kind of changed certain things around, but other things are actually pretty accurate in that one. At least episodes I saw. Yeah, it's a fantasy show. Khan. All right, so with that we'll say Ashar Kadash, which just means happy new moon, or you could also say Ashar Zakarwan Tharawaiha, which means happy Memorial Trumpets, or happy Memorial Blowing of Trumpets. Laila Tawa, which means good night. And with that, we'll do the closing prayers. So we'll talk to everybody in the classes coming up. So, shalom.
So,
Shalom, Israel.
Barakatha Yahweh by Shemi Hawashai, Sharanathan now by Gapan Tuada Aman. Ya Yahweh, La Yahweh by Shemi Hawashai, Af Yashar Allah. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, with Israel. Amadwa, when you are yours, once again, please choose. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Babakushai, Shemai, Lanawa, Aithad, Yamyan, Aithad, Shalak, Ma'ika Allah, Waha Allahayim, Tazwadakim, La, Shema'il, Barak, Rapah, Magan, Wa Chazayat, Banya, Yasha'ala, Washalak, Lanawa, Rabiam, Kakama, Rabiam, Da'ait, Rabiam, Bayanah, Rabiam, Sabalanwa, Rabiam, Amawan, Rabiam, Aqua, Rabiam, Ahabiam, Rabiam, Haganah, Rochanaya, Wasalak, Ko, Katayanawa, La Akim, Wa Akiwa, Wa Sha'ala, Thamyad, Wai Walam, Basham, Yahawashai, Thawada, Aman. English translation, Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashai, please listen to us now. Right now, send Michael and the righteous powers to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the children of Israel. And send to us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, much brotherhood, much love, much spiritual protection, and forgive all our sins. For the brothers, sisters in Israel, always and forever, in the name of Yahawashai, thank you. So be it. Pray for the food. Yahweh Garawo Basham Manawanya Yahweh Babakusha Barak Mako Yanawa Shafayawa Yanawa Yayan Yanawa Lakham Yanawa Shakara Yanawa Zakhar Shah Hakadash Wa Tharawaiha Basham Yahawashai Thawada Aman Yahweh Basham Yahawashai Barak Noah Wiyasha'ala Wabathia Saparim Shema Yashirullah Yahweh Allahai Noah Yahweh Yahweh, in the name of Yahawashai, bless us in Israel in the house of books or the school. And then we said, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. So, Shak Hadash wa Sakarwan Tharawaiha wa Layala Tawa Yashara.
Shalom.
Shalom.